Looking forward to a beautiful Shabbat. Friday night dinner here this evening, and a beautiful Shabbat tomorrow morning. And it's good to see everyone once again. We're continuing with the ideas of the time that we're in, which is the 3 weeks in commemoration of the great loss of the temple of the Bet HaMikdash, and subsequently all that which that entails. So there is a minhag not to eat meat or drink wine, as we spoke of earlier. The question is, what happens with the wine of Havdalah? So from Rosh Chodesh and onwards, meaning from next week, from this coming week to Monday evening, there is no eating meat or drinking wine as a sign for the mourning of the destruction of the temple. Because as long as the temple has not been rebuilt, it's as if it's been destroyed. Meaning to say, every generation and every year and every day that the Bet HaMikdash has not been rebuilt, like we don't see it now in our time yet. So we have to consider it as if it was destroyed in our time. We did not merit to see it. Why? Because it has to do with our merit, with our actions. It was destroyed then, but its void is also a measure of destruction in a way, because it's not there. And so we are mourning for it. We don't eat meat or drink wine from Monday evening this coming week. What about when we hit Shabbat? On Shabbat, you're allowed to have meat and drink wine, because Shabbat is a day of magnitude of holiness. But what about when Shabbat is over and we're going to have Havdalah here? Can you have your Havdalah wine? So grape juice, not a problem. Grape juice is not wine. I mean, it's wine for Havdalah, but it's not. Let's just say we have maybe less of an issue with that. But what about wine? Can we have Havdalah and wine? So it's brought down here that there is more than one opinion regarding the wine of Havdalah and the wine of Birkat HaMazon. Sometimes, some people you may see that when they do Birkat HaMazon, they'll hold a glass of wine for Zimun. And when they finish with that, they'll drink the wine. So one minhag is not to have any wine, not for Birkat HaMazon and not for Havdalah. You give it to a kid. I guess the kids back then used to take the wine.
It was the French kids.
Okay, the French kids. Yeah.
Nighttime.
Before nighttime, right, Havdalah. But according to Sfaradim, the Kaf HaChaim brings that for Havdalah, we do have the minhag that you can consume the wine. Why? Why is it that I can consume the wine? It's not Shabbat anymore. And it's within the 9 days. So it brings the Kaf HaChaim, it's considered a Seudat mitzvah. It's considered a meal of a mitzvah. Because what happens when you have a Birkat Milah, a circumcision within the 9 days? And there you have to taste wine. You also have a Seudah, a meal. And there's a whole question, an array of issues in a meal of a Brit Milah. Or a Pidyon Ben, when your firstborn son turns 30 days old, 29 days and 12 parts, whatever. Or when you have a big celebration of a mitzvah, can you have meat and drink wine? So the answer is, anyone that's associated there may consume meat and wine. It's also in a Brit Milah. So when you have Havdalah, it's such a mitzvah to do Havdalah that is considered a meal, a festive meal, comparable to having a Brit Milah, to maybe an engagement, not an engagement, to maybe finishing a whole tractate in the Gemara, maybe a bar mitzvah meal, maybe something great like that. That's what Havdalah, Sheva Berachot, that's what Havdalah is considered to, and that's why, according to Sfaradim, we may indeed consume the wine of Havdalah, even if it's within the 9 days of Tisha B'Av. That being said, that's because it's a mitzvah. But when it's not a mitzvah, the idea is, how can we have such things? How can we say Shechianu? How could we build a new house? How could we renovate? How could we paint? How could we buy a new car when it's within these days? Not because it's like mourning particularly, or even though we are mourning for the destruction, but how can I do such a thing when I have these time dedicated to remember the temple, to remember what we had and what Hashem is waiting for us, so it could be rebuilt. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.